We have a lot of information you need to know as a Tesla stock investor here on the day today. A lot of Tesla stock news, as well as Fed Jerome Powell that kind of gave us new information. I'm here to break that all down for you, put it into context, what this means for our markets, as well as for Tesla stock. We have your option activity, all of your Tesla stock news, the Fed, and much more. Let's go ahead and get into it. I don't want to waste your time with a long intro today. Hit the like button because it is free 99. Subscribe to the channel because it's also free 99, and let's go ahead and get into it. And holy moly, before we get into your Tesla stock news, we need to go over what Fed Jerome Powell just said, because oh my goodness, what a bombshell. Fed Powell says it does not appear that an expectation of higher Fed policy rates is causing higher longer-term rates. What that means is basically our policy is not dictating longer-term rates. That is scary because essentially longer-term rates could go way higher from here then. That is a bombshell the markets did not like. That means due to the government spending so much money, having such a large deficit, that's probably what is causing the longer term yields to go higher. And it seems like, according to Fed Powell, this has nothing to do with the Fed. This ultimately could be good news because there is literally zero chance the Fed raises rates again because they have no control of the yields. But this also puts the economy in a pretty rough situation because the yields could just keep going higher. Another bombshell Fed Jerome Powell dropped on us says tighter financial conditions from higher long-term rates, stronger dollar, lower stocks could matter for future rate conditions. So basically saying if stocks don't fall, if yields continue higher, I mean, you could be in a really weird situation. And that's what's happening now. Stocks are not falling as much as you might want, whereas yields on your treasuries are rising. Fed Powell says we are not confident policy is sufficiently restrictive. He also says the idea that it would be difficult to raise again after pausing is not right. He's basically saying we might hike again. Don't think because we're pausing now that the hikes are over. Yikes. He says it's tough to translate how many rate hikes the tighter financial conditions relate to. Basically saying since longer-term treasury yields have risen about 1% since July, the Fed has raised rates once since July. Back in July, they raised rates. Does that mean that the Fed has really raised like 3 times due to the tightening in the bond market, or technically 4 times including July? We don't know. Fed Powell also says that the question now is, do they raise rates again or do they just continue to pause? It's not even a thought, do they start cutting rates? The question is, do they raise again? Fed Powell says a government shutdown is also a potential source of risk. Fed Powell says the bigger picture is we are making progress on labor market, inflation, and very focused on getting policies sufficiently restrictive. So it seems like to me, there's a little bit for the bulls and a little bit for the bears. It's really not a clear bullish or bearish Fed Jerome Powell today. There's something for everyone. So I think the markets are going to take some time to digest this Fed meeting. And it's probably not going to be a simple one to interpret. It looks like the Fed is simply at a standstill. And if you were to guess whether or not we're going to get a hike or a cut next, it's looking like a hike. But again, that really doesn't come as new information for most of the markets. That seems like the obvious potential outcome. The first thought is not a cut, it's a hike when GDP comes in at 5%. For last quarter. Apparently, the economy can handle it, even though Americans are struggling. Now, Tesla stock at the time of recording this video is up 0.72% following some of Fed Jerome Powell's bombshells. it's, again, a tough one to interpret. We know, or at least we think we know after today's Fed Powell, that we're probably not going to get any more rate hikes, but I think it puts the precedent of longer term rates on the forefront. We need to be watching those 10, 20, 30-year yields like nobody's business, as well as the economic data that continues to come out from here. If it continues to come in strong, we're probably going to get more rate hikes. That's the bottom line. So right now, it seems like the markets are expecting weaker economic data, so maybe we don't get more hikes, but we'll have more information coming by Friday when we get the jobs report. Fed Powell says we are seeing the effects of the 2022 rate hikes now, and that we have to make policy under great uncertainty. So if I were to imagine, based on what we're seeing today with Tesla stock up over 1% now, this Fed meeting is having a positive effect on our markets. Oh yeah, markets are loving Fed Jerome Powell today. S&P 500 breaking above your 200-day moving average. This could spark an end-of-the-year rally for stocks like Tesla and, let's be honest, some of your interest rate sensitive companies. And as you can see now, what Fed Jerome Powell says is, quote, policy is restrictive and we see its effects. There is a lot of back and forth here, but the markets really took off on this statement. We are going to give you a full breakdown on what Fed Jerome Powell just said here today and how this is going to affect our markets for the next month or two here. You're probably looking at a rally. I'll give you a little bit of a precursor, but we'll go over that more at 9 p.m. tonight. So stay tuned to the channel for that one. That video could really make you some money if that does ultimately happen. But let's now get into all of your Tesla stock news that you need to know on the day today. Tesla has increased the APR percentage for financing in the US for an excellent credit rating. A 84-month loan went from 7.36% to 7.61%, and for a 72-month loan, you went from 6.49% to 6.69%. So quite a jump here for the APR, and financing a Tesla just got even more expensive. But as you can see, 10-year treasury yields are starting to really fall off now. You are now down to 4.78%. You are down almost 10 basis points here on the day today. So this should help out maybe getting cheaper financing if these rates do especially continue to fall from here. Your 30-year treasury yields are also down about 5 basis points, but your 10-year treasury yield is what a lot of these rates on loans like mortgages, like cars, are really based around. So this is great news today. And 10-year treasuries down almost 10 basis points is going to give you a rally in the markets. It's as simple as that. And rates probably have peaked out from here and will continue lower, thus giving you quite the rally for the markets. Elon Musk shared us a photo over on X. He says today is also Marvin's birthday. As you can see, a toy Cybertruck with a little dog and his little birthday cake with candles. I don't know if this is like Elon's dog or he just stole this photo, but pretty cool nonetheless. Subaru has announced they will adopt Tesla's North American charging standards starting in 2025, and it's only a matter of time before everyone else does. And it says Subaru BEVs will gain access to more than 15,000 Tesla superchargers across North America, significantly enhancing charging convenience. Under the new management structure established in June 2023, Subaru has announced a goal of aiming for 50% of total global sales to be BEVs in 2023. And Volkswagen puts off East European Gigafactory amid sluggish EV demand. Volkswagen was looking at a possible site for a gigafactory for electric car batteries in Eastern Europe and had already put off a decision a year ago when it was considering locations in the Czech Republic, Hungary, Poland, or Slovakia. I feel like I can never say that right. German car group Volkswagen will not make a decision on a fourth battery site right now, with demand for electric vehicles in Europe lagging expectations, Chairman Oliver Blum said on Wednesday. Tesla has added a new Model 3 video for Tesla Europe, and this is with the Highland, and man, is this thing just sexy. I cannot wait to get my hands on it. Waiting for the US launch. And it's funny, every time I see a Model 3 pass me now, I'm looking in the rearview mirror to see if it's got the Tesla emblem or if it's not there and it's just the Tesla writing, because I would probably bust a UE quickly to see who's driving it. But that still has not happened, because obviously the Model 3 the Highland is not in the US yet, which is a big disappointer. And we did not get any updates on when we think it will be on the earnings call. So it's really a wait and see kind of game at this moment. Elon says the latest version of full self-driving, which is entirely neural nets, is called Rodeo. It says, we went through a similar process at Tesla with full self-driving, where it started off with almost entirely C++ code and then gradually became more and more a neural net. And now the latest version of full self-driving, called Rodeo, is entirely neural nets. I think that's going to be very compelling for the recommended feed. It's going to be a game changer, and it will also mean that if somebody posts a very interesting reply, normally that is buried by default, that is buried with very little exposure, but sometimes the reply is more interesting than the original post, and we currently lose all that. With a purely AI-based system, whatever the reply is compelling, they'll be shown more prominently than the original post if it's compelling, which that is somewhat a statement about X, trying to use this neural net network in X, as well as they are now in full self-driving, which is pretty interesting that it's being called Rodeo. The U.S. Department of the Treasury and the IRS today began allowing car dealers, including Tesla, to register for the IRS Energy Credit online portal. This is for the EV point-of-sale rebate. Starting January 1st, 2024, customers will be able to transfer their new clean vehicle credit of up to $7,500. The new Energy Credit online portal will allow registered dealers to submit clean vehicle sales information to the IRS and promptly receive payment for transferred credits. Dealers will also use Energy Credit online to submit time of sale reports, which will confirm vehicles' eligibility for a credit, whether or not the buyer chooses to transfer the credit to the dealer. So this is something a lot of people are bullish on as well for 2024. The fact that everyone, not just people that have to pay taxes, will be able to benefit from the IRA tax credit by instantly reducing the cost to finance the vehicle, thus reducing the monthly payment for literally everyone starting on January 1st, 2024. Toyota lowered its EV sales expectations for the fiscal year by 39% from an initial 202,000 units to 123,000 units, the company said in its second quarter financial report. That came out just today. Ron Barron thinks Tesla can hit a $4 trillion market cap. Quote, you get rich by being long-term and by being focused, by owning a small amount of companies. And that is basically Ron Barron saying Tesla stock could hit $1,250. That would be roughly a 6.25x from the current market cap of about $640 billion. So I think we can go a lot higher than what Ron Barron says, but hey, I'll take it. Either way. Toyota says it has raised the wages of non-union U.S. factory workers just days after the UAW union won major pay and benefit hikes from the Detroit 3 automakers. This is about a 9.2% raise. Sawyer Merritt is reporting that more people have signed up for the Cybertruck delivery event lottery than any other Tesla lottery in history. Elon Musk responds to Sawyer Merritt's post about that news yesterday that Tesla won the first U.S. trial over allegations that Autopilot basically did a 43-degree turn and went straight off the highway, smashed into a tree, and killed the driver. Well, Elon Musk says the irony is that if Autopilot had been turned on here, it would almost certainly have saved the driver. Finland reported 149 Tesla sales and 2.4% market share for October. This is 428% higher than the same period last year. Ireland reported 119 Tesla sales and 5.5% market share for October. This is 125% higher than the same period last year as well. Taiwan reported 701 Tesla sales and 1.7% market share for October. This is 51% higher than this same period last year. The Czech Republic reported 109 Tesla sales for October, 457% higher than last year's number. Norway reported 678 Tesla sales and 7.6% market share for October. Year to date, this is 73% higher than October of 2022. Tesla sales in daily reporting countries are up 32% so far in the quarter compared to the same period of Q3. Israel is up almost 5,900%. Norway is up 206%. Iceland 174%. Italy up 89%. The Netherlands up 31%. Spain is the biggest drop, minus 20%. Sweden is negative 16%. And Denmark is negative 6%. Tesla's option activity today is 36% positive, totaling about $88 million. And there has been 424 hedge fund and institutional trades on Tesla stock today. But indeed, retail continues to be bullish on Tesla. For this Friday's expiration, 55% of the activity today, of the total volume trading hands for these contracts, are calls. 44.87% are puts. So you're still seeing more calls being traded compared to puts, but hedge funds, institutions are a lot more bearish than retail investors. Google trend data for Tesla models is pretty flat, actually trending down a little bit per the update that we just got. The Cybertruck, on the other hand, represented of this yellow line, has seen a spike recently and is still pretty dang elevated. The most recent AI investor sentiment has 29.3% of individuals bullish, 27.5% neutral, and 43.2% bearish. So there still is a lot of bears in this market. Tesla inventory numbers for basically all of their models are starting to really come down. This has been coupled with some good news recently. Tesla actually raising prices on a lot of their models in China as well as here in the US. A lot of these are on your higher end models, your Model Y, your long range, right? Your performance, as well as your Model X. A lot of those price increases, not on the smaller end models, but you are seeing inventories coming down. That is overall a good sign for Tesla. And Tesla is continuing to run about 300 ads on Google. A lot of these are just going over the affordability of Tesla, including advertising of the $7,500 federal tax credit. Literally says, discover Tesla affordability, SUV starting at $34,240. This one says starting at $31,490. I think they're advertising the right things, but not to the right demographic. They need to be on TV. I know it might be a little bit more expensive, but that's the demographic that really needs to hear this. There is well over 100 million households that have cable television in the US. That's where you need to be advertising. This one is one that I really like as well. No annual maintenance required. The Model 3 starting at $27,990. A lot of people will like that. No maintenance, no oil change, rarely ever got to get your brakes fixed or serviced. That's a selling point that nobody really knows about. We will have some additional earnings coming today and after hours. Today is actually going to be a big day for earnings. You have PayPal, Roku, Qualcomm, Supermicro, SolarEdge, Airbnb, Etsy, Mercado Libre, and Elf that will report earnings. Specifically, these four are going to be pretty big, but really all of these earnings are big for their certain sectors, right? PayPal, that's your payment processors. They've been absolutely destroyed. Roku's going to be more of your software / advertisers. Qualcomm, Supermicro, semiconductors, Solar Edge. We already heard their earnings. They are, not doing so great. Airbnb, housing, rentals, hotels. That will be important. Etsy, obviously your online retailer. Elf, again, another retailer. So quite a few different sector, leaders, I guess, if you will, that are going to be reporting earnings that could move their certain sectors, especially Qualcomm and Supermicro. That can affect Nvidia, and that would be, something that could have a positive or negative effect on the broader markets. Tomorrow is going to be your big day. In pre-market, you have Palantir, Shopify, Moderna, Crocs, Penn National Gaming, ConocoPhillips. Thursday after hours, your big dog, Apple, will report earnings. I'm not excited about Apple's numbers at all, but Apple is like a super pumper. Tim Cook knows exactly what to say. They have one of the best, if not the best, IR teams out there. IR stands for Investor Relations. So even if they have bad numbers, they're probably going to talk up the iPhone 15. They're going to say demand's looking good. They're going to say people are loving the product. All of that. So it's tricky to play Apple. Even if they have bad numbers, usually the conference call sounds really, really good. And they smooth things over way too well. They are literally way too good at investor relations. They've been doing it a long time. I guess they should be. Block will report earnings. DraftKings, Carvana, Fortinet, Starbucks, Coinbase, Pioneer, Cloudflare, and Fidus. I don't really know how to pronounce that one. Friday pre-market, Fubo. That's one I'm very excited to hear what they have to say. On that note, if you guys would like to come trade with us live in real time, I send out all of the trade alerts that I am making with a synopsis on why I'm doing them, what kind of data maybe is being presented that I'm looking at. I go over a thesis. It's never a financial recommendation. It's never advice. It's never a sure thing or a sure win, but we like to trade a lot of these earnings trades. If you guys would like to come trade, get involved with the community, link down below in the description of this video. And as you guys know, the average performance after you enter into a correction is 1 week later, you normally see a bounce of about 1.5%. You're positive 66.7% of the time. 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and 1 month later, you usually decline another 2%, and you're only positive 40% of the time. So 1 week later, usually you get a bounce. The subsequent month or so later, you usually continue lower. 3 months later, you tend to be pretty flat with a almost 50% positive historical performance. 6 months later, you tend to be positive about 3.1% or more, positive 66.7% of the time. And 1 year later is where these statistics really stand out. The average return is up 10.1%. And 80% of the time you are positive. So 4 out of 5 times after you enter into a correction, in which we did last Friday, you are up pretty substantially 1 year later. So no matter what happens from here, you really need to be a buyer. And I think Tesla is a good example of that. Tesla has fallen a lot recently. There's a lot of fear out there. There's a lot of blood on Wall Street. The wolves are out. The Grim Reaper is out for stocks if you miss on earnings. But you have to be a buyer on quality names that you believe in for the long term. Tesla's my favorite right now. They're not only a solid, sound business that margins, they probably bottomed here. They're going to get better in 2024, in my personal opinion. But Tesla also benefits from interest rates going down more than any other company that I can think of besides like real estate companies. So you have a lot of different things working for you, as well as the Cybertruck. I think 2024 is going to be a great year for Tesla. Maybe not at first, but towards the end of the year, I think you're going to be very happy you bought the dip under $200 on Tesla stock. So that is going to conclude this video. We have a lot more to get into at 9 p.m. tonight, so make sure you guys are staying tuned to the channel for that video. That one is going to be very important. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and source your comments, questions, or concerns down below in the comment section. My name is Michael Tyler. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.